This video is about a man who rose from washing taxis at the rank to becoming one of the most feared bosses in the taxi industry, Zola Bishop Yolelo. Zola was a powerful figure in an industry ruled by bullets, bloodshed and brute force. He wasn't just a taxi tycoon, he was also accused of running extortion rackets and was previously arrested in connection with several taxi hits. Though he was never successfully prosecuted, some of the cases were still open. Then on the 23rd of June, everything came to a shocking end. Zola and 5 other suspects were laid down by police in a shootout near Mthatha Airport. Now in this episode, we dive deep into the rise and fall of Zola Bishop Yolelo, the controversial taxi king and alleged extortion mastermind whose life ended in a shower of bullets and unanswered questions.
I don't think it's fair, first and foremost, to be accused like that. As Sandako, we didn't have any position to interrupt or disturb Intercape. We are sympathetic towards them. They can go and open the cases to the police. We are there to assist when it is necessary.
Lately, the law and the police haven't had much luck arresting and convicting extortion suspects, but they've been laying them down instead, and it's happening more and more, especially in the Eastern Cape. Not long ago, it was Mareke in Mthatha West who was dropped cold by the police. Then it was Young Apara. Now, Zola Yolelo is the latest to be taken out. All 3 were tied to ruthless extortion rackets, and all 3 were taken out before having their fair day in court. What's even more chilling is how every one of these deadly encounters seem to follow the same script. Police say the suspects opened fire first and then they were forced to shoot back. True or not, the public doesn't care. People seem to be relieved to see the so-called criminals gone than they are concerned about how it happened. Extortion doesn't work without protection from the top. For these rackets to survive, they need help from shady politicians, dodgy councillors, or even dirty cops, who either stay silent or actively help cover it all up. Now that's the real power behind these networks. And with that kind of backup, extortionists feel untouchable. And when it comes to prosecution, everything depends on the victims speaking out, reporting the crimes and handing over solid evidence. And that's where the system breaks down. Now victims are too scared to talk. And even when someone is arrested, they are often out on bail within days. And after that, witnesses go quiet. Or worse, they disappear, no witnesses, no evidence, no case. An intelligence-driven police operation took a deadly turn when officers intercepted a vehicle linked to extortion networks in Mthatha. At first, the suspects appeared to cooperate, but as they stepped out the car, they suddenly opened fire on the police and officers fired back in self-defense, taking out all 6 men inside the vehicle. This is according to police reports. And amongst the dead, there was none other than Zola Bishop Yolelo, a controversial and feared taxi boss in Mthatha.
To the scene, but the understanding, Akash, that we do have at this particular point in time is that we're looking at about 6 fatalities. It's a shooting that involved members of the National Intervention Unit known as the NIU. You'd recall, Akash, that this was a unit deployed particularly to this area of Mthatha by the National Police Commissioner General Fani Masemula sometime last year, given that there was this wave of cases of extortion. And the information as well that we're getting from our sources is that the taxi boss that is said to have been killed in this particular incident was in fact arrested sometime last year in Johannesburg, Mall of Africa to be precise, on charges of extortion. And we're told that that is the very same taxi boss that has been shot and killed here on the R61 in Mthatha. Details really still sketchy, and I think
Zola's rise was stuff of township legends. He started out washing taxis, then worked as a conductor at the local taxi rank. Slowly, he climbed the brutal ranks of the taxi world, eventually becoming a chairperson of the Lled Mthatha Taxi Association in 2002. Then he was elected provincial chairperson of Santako in the Eastern Cape. Then just a few months later, he became the national chairperson of Santako. But behind the glory, there was a much darker story. Zola was accused of running a widespread extortion scheme, mostly targeting foreign-owned businesses in Mthatha. Local community members accused these business owners, especially hardware shops, of monopolizing the market. Tensions were high. Some locals demanded that hardware shops start using their trucks to deliver goods to customers. Now, in the middle of the chaos, Zola reportedly stepped in, offering protection to these business owners for a steep monthly fee. Now, some paid out of fear and others closed shops and left Mthatha entirely. By 2018, Zola's name had landed on a police list of Eastern Cape's most wanted. The SAPS even offered a reward for the capture of 4 suspects linked to a string of taxi-related hits in Mthatha. Now, Zola's name was one of them. I tried digging into what happened to this case, but it was unclear. But what we know is Zola was never prosecuted for those cases. In July of 2021 alone, the Eastern Cape was rocked with a wave of targeted assassinations, high-profile hits that sent shockwaves through the taxi industry. On July 15th, Diki Zamani, who was chairperson of the Lled Taxi Association from Nelson Mandela Bay, he was laid down in his car in Njoli, Gqeberha. Then 2 days later, on July 17th, Snetemba Jani, an operator from the Border Alliance Taxi Association, was also executed while sitting in his Quantum. Then on July 31st, Wiseman Pandiwonga, chairperson of Qanduli Taxi Association, was also shot outside his home in Ndungunyeni. Then another Lled Taxi Association chairperson was also murdered outside his home in Ezibeleni. Now, all of these hits happened within a single month, and as far as I could find, no one has ever been prosecuted for them. Back in 2021 and 2022, when Intercape publicly accused Eastern Cape taxi operators, especially Santaco, of extortion and violent intimidation, Zola appeared on the news speaking on behalf of Santaco. He strongly denied the accusations, insisting there was no campaign to threaten or extort the long-distance bus company. Now, in Mthatha and within Santaco cycles, Zola's name carried serious weight and serious fear.
The resolutions of the meeting.
The resolutions of the meeting are that we agreed to form a task team which will be comprising of the bus industry and Santaco to go and visit all the sport areas to condemn these illegal practices. As Santaco, we are condemning all these illegal practices. No one is allowed to damage the property. No one is allowed to interfere with the operations of the other company.
Then in 2024, 2 suspected hitmen linked to taxi-related hits in the Eastern Cape were arrested in the Mall of Africa in Midrand, and a 3rd suspect was caught in East London. Now, reports suggest that Zola was among a group that was taken in for questioning. Now, these hits took place in November of 2023 and August of 2024, claiming the lives of 2 taxi bosses, a driver and an association member. Now, during the arrests, police recovered 4 hammers and an AK. At the time of his death, Zola had recently been released on bail of 1.5 from the Ezibeleni Magistrate Court. He was facing charges of extortion and intimidation. That case was still pending when he was gunned down by the police. After the news broke that Zola Yolelo had been killed by police, King Buyelekaya Dalingebo of the Abatil wasted no time setting the record straight. In a bold public statement, the king distanced traditional leadership from Zola completely. He made it crystal clear that Zola had no legal status as a headman in Mthatha West. That claim had already been struck down by the High Court in 2023. Now, Zola's interdicts were dismissed without any success. The king went even further, warning that criminals were hiding behind the mask of traditional leadership to extort communities. He pointed directly to another self-proclaimed fake chief, Mareke, who had been extorting residents, schools, and local businesses in Mthatha West before the police took him down in 2024. Now, Zola's downfall wasn't quiet or dignified. It didn't end in a courtroom. It ended in gunfire. His once powerful reign collapsed in a storm of bullets, betrayal, and suspicion, making the violent fall of a man who had risen high and crashed even harder.